When I get an idea for a book, I start by making notes in a notebook. I really enjoy actually having a nice notebook. I'm a great buyer of notebooks in shops. I can't resist stationery. And I start by putting down the names of the characters. I always find this is a good way to get it going in your head and for your characters to come alive. So I would write down, for example, Elfie, aged 11, orphan, lives on the street, small, thin for her age and so forth. Ma Bigsby, quite short, very round, wears an apron round her stomach. Pa Bigsby, who educates the children in the 11th orphan, he wears a lilac-coloured suit, very dapper, and he walks with a silver-top cane. The reason for that is my grandfather did wear lilac-coloured suits and had a silver-top cane. And my grandmother was small, and she was the sturdy one who ran the place. And then you put down Joe, age 13, parents from the West Indies, and gradually, and the colour even of their eyes, who their best friends are, what they like. If you do all those things, then the people start to come alive in your head. I found once I start to think about Elfie or Holly, they're suddenly there in my mind. Then the other thing I do is to put down notes about where they're living, exactly what kind of house, what kind of street, thinking about the clothes, the time, you know, whether it's 1900 or contemporary today, like Holly. Holly's mum, who's a very young mum, she wears spiky 4-inch heels and has a ponytail. Whereas, of course, Ma Bigsby in 1900 has her sort of steel grey hair, cut short. All those are little details that will help you when you come to write the book. I usually then get an idea of how to begin. I very often do know my opening line, and it's got to be something that will make somebody want to go on to read the whole paragraph, and at the end of that page to read the next page, because that really is, you've got to get into the story straight away. So I will start by writing longhand, quite often for the whole of the first chapter, because I can kind of just sit there and think about it quite a long time in advance. And then I will make some notes as to how the story will develop, but I won't know everything that's going to happen. I usually know the ending. Maybe not exactly the form it takes, but I usually know what they're all going to be doing at the end of a book. And then, so after, it does take a little while to get to that point, and then I sit down at my computer and I start to put it on. And once I'm going with the computer, my mind starts to kind of go along with it at that speed. And I no longer have to make notes. But the notes are invaluable because I tell you, I have to look back and perhaps see what some of the customers were called. For example, in the 11th orphan, I've got one called Sad Sid and his sister Mad Meg. And I've got a note of all those people, all the customers. And I can refer back to it because it's very easy to forget, say, in the minor character, who exactly they are, what their names are. So the notes are invaluable to me. I tend not to use the name of someone I know because then their personality might come in front of it. And I don't use my children's or grandchildren's names as characters. But, and occasionally I look up in the dictionary of names and I just spot one that seems right. And also you've got to spot one that would be right for the time. For example, in the 11th orphan, it's 1900. Different names were popular than are now. I mean, there were names like Ivy or Gertie or Elfie or Lily. Those names were all in use then, which you might not find now. So you have to be careful not to give a contemporary name if you're setting it back in time. And different names even in the 40s. The other thing you have to give a bit of thought to is where the book is situated, because in Ireland, when I was setting my book there, Kevin was a very good name that you would find, and all his brothers and sisters, I gave them names that were suitable sort of for their Irish Catholic background. If I'm writing books set in Scotland, I might get some Scottish names in. So all of those things you need to think about to make it authentic, to make it believable, because that is really the aim, to make your story believable, credible. So after someone has finished it, they think, ah, yes, I do believe that that could have happened. Life is limited in that we inhabit one mind, one body, and see through one pair of eyes. And this is something I think I became conscious of quite early on in my life as a child. I wanted more places, more things to happen. But by reading, and even more by writing, one can enter into the mind and life of other people. And in so doing, we push out the boundaries of our own lives.